Hello, and welcome to Education Chat, a podcast made by students for students. My name is Alyssa Ray,
And hi, I'm Alicia Paulino.
and today we're joined by two guests, the class of 2023, Carla De Leon, Director of Publicity, and Julian Castrejon, Senior Representative. So hi, Carla and Julian, welcome to Education Chat.
Hi, thank you for having us.
So even before we started meeting, I was telling Alyssa that I'm just so excited to talk to you guys. Like I'm like beaming. So before we start, I just want to ask, how long has the Young Women Empowerment Club existed on your campus, and what can prospective members gain from joining your club?
I think the club was founded 5 years ago, I'd say, Carla.
Yes.
So it's 5 years ago, so that's 2018, if I'm correct. So 2018 is where our amazing founder, Saida, she founded the club, and it's been there and it's been thriving ever since then. And our work in the club.
Your work and what can prospective members gain from joining the club?
So our work varies. We really not only do we focus on empowering women throughout campus and throughout our community, but we really just try to bring resources to our students. That can be mental health, that could be educational resources, that could be period poverty resources, just anything that can strengthen our students' lifestyles and strengthen their own selves so that they can build and prepare for like a successful future. I think that's the biggest thing that I've gained from the club. I mean, when I first started as a member, I would just join lunch tables, listen, and just see what I can do, what I can contribute. And from that, just from putting in my work and for being involved, I've gained a lot of resources from um, nationwide organizations. Miss Penalber, she helps a lot. She has an amazing network. So she knows all of these like little organizations that you can join, these little things just to like build up your resume and just like broaden your perspectives in life, and how you can really strengthen women empowerment at a farther extent rather than just in school, make it larger, make it nationwide. So from joining the organizations that she sent me, we're now here today making our own stuff, making our own or campaigns, making our own workshops. And I think that's the biggest thing that our students can gain from the club.
To add to a little bit to what Julian said, I think that prospective students would gain leadership skills. They would gain like a safe space on campus where they can go and express themselves, not only for any issues that they have, but also for anything that they're happy about. It's a woman-led space, and you feel safe there. And like Julian said, there's a lot of educational opportunities. Miss Penalber has a great network. There's a lot of local organizations in the Coachella Valley that help specifically with their Eastern Coachella Valley, which affects like our communities. And that's just a great way to get out into the community. And if you don't really know where to start, I think it would be a good idea to join the club.
I love that. How long have you guys been members? Since you were freshmen, or is it more recent?
I became a club last year, so my junior year, a club member last year. And I did it so late because freshman year I was just really scared. I was very intimidated by all the beautiful women in the club, and they did like amazing things, and it was just scary to join it. But I really do wish that I would have joined sooner. But I'm still grateful for the time, because the stuff that we've done, the knowledge that I've gained by being there only in 2 years, I'm very grateful.
I also joined my junior year. Again, I regret joining late, but it's only because like we're COVID babies too. So like our freshman year, we're like barely navigating high school, and then COVID hit. Sophomore year gone, so it was difficult to like look for clubs to join. So junior year was when I was like, okay, I'm gonna get myself out there. And that's when I found the club. And ever since then, I just not only like grew myself, but I was able to help my friends who were interested in joining. And yeah, ever since then, it's just been a big journey.
That's actually so like beautifully said. I just want to put that out there because I know when I was in high school, a lot of our clubs didn't really focus on what's next or how to kind of network and really put yourself out there. So, what would you say? Was there anything that was intimidating when you started networking and kind of putting yourself out there in the community? Were you kind of faced with any challenges being high schoolers, or were you just like, I'm going to put myself out there and just kind of hope for the best? What was that process like?
I think definitely for me, it was far more intimidating only because our school has a culture. the culture mainly stems from the machista norms and ideologies. And that's where they view feminine expressing men, or just really anyone who's feminine and a woman, as less than and inferior to. And so at first, like basically like seeing a guy, a, a man in a woman-led space, it was like oh, like it was a little bit like, to them it was odd, but to me I was like, how is this odd? How is this something that isn't normal? You know, I mean, like, we are far into our time where like we shouldn't be thinking that this is odd. And so I feel like that was just the biggest thing that was intimidating. Not only was it because also I was barely starting my journey in like joining extracurriculars. I think that was just the biggest one. And yeah, it was just mainly being targeted on like the way I express myself, and just um it was just things like that. Just any space where I joined that was women led, I would get like a side eye. But we just learned to like call those people out and just encourage them to join these women led spaces, because it's these spaces that are important, and it's these spaces that we need to join in order to like broaden our own perspectives, and just build ourselves to a better person.
In my experience, um, I had always been put in like leadership positions, but I was never like really out there in the community. And like joining the club, you entered like all these spaces where people already knew what they were doing. Like they're like, okay, like this is a safe space, and then they would like set rules, and like it was like very welcoming, that I was almost like, oh, like this is kind of weird, but
Yeah,
it took like a little bit of adjusting, and then it ended up being like perfectly, like now it's normal to me when I join something like
yeah.
that. And it was also intimidating because I mean, I'm like a child and I'm a kid, and I would join like meetings with other adults like in the community, and I was never like in those spaces. You know, I was always surrounded by kids who were my own age. So being in those rooms and being like in those conversations with adults, it was a new experience, and it was a little intimidating, but the knowledge that I gained, it was definitely worth the little anxiety that I had while being in those spaces.
Wait, what's the saying? Like, little struggle for lifelong learning. Is that the saying? Or am I thinking of something else?
I think so.
That's the
Yeah,
saying, right? I think
yeah,
so. But I think that's really fitting for what we're talking about right now.
yeah.
But I do just kind of want to shift gears a little bit, kind of taking it back to the club and things of that nature. So it's no secret that women today face biases such as misogynism, sexism, harassment. There's so much more, the list goes on, that has affected women for generations and generations to come. So, in you guys' opinions, what are some of the most significant challenges that young women in high school specifically face today?
I think one of the biggest ones is, well, it's rooted in misogyny, but anything that we do is criticized. Literally everything we do is nitpicked. Oh, if I like pink, oh, you're trying to be girly. Oh, if I like black and I like to dress like emo, okay, then you're a poser. If I like these bands, if I'm a skater, like literally anything you will be criticized for, and your opinions, you'll just be criticized for literally anything. And I feel like it's so hard to try to like stand in your own shoes and be strong about it, and not let other people shape like what you like, because you're just never left alone. There's always somebody that's going to say something.
And again, rooted in misogyny, if you're just feminine expressing, there's stigma to that. There's stigma that sticks to that. And because of that, you're like limited on how much you can express yourself. And you become afraid to express your full self, and to like really just live the lifestyle that you want. And I think that's just the biggest thing for young women on our campus. Again, due to our culture's norms, which is machismo, marianismo, it really limits women. I mean, marianismo is meant to be the female empowering, but it's really just, it just has strict roles that places women in a modest, in a just a religious stereotypes, where it just again just sets them back to like where they belong, and like just again with the gender roles, like that's a really tough one.
Another one that I want to add is body image. whatever you look like, it's never good enough. And I think we see it a lot like in with like social media culture. Like Lizzo is attacked for being like, what is it, for being plus size, but then Coyle Ray is also attacked for being apparently built like a boy. So I feel, and then like being a teenage girl and like seeing all that go down on social media, and then this whole thing right now, like the BBL, and I don't know, I feel like people expect teenage girls to be built like porn stars at the ripe age of 15, and it's just a lot of pressure because at that time you're not only going through so many like emotional changes, you're in a completely new environment, and it's difficult to try to manage all of that on top of being worried about what you look like 24/7.
For sure. That's exhausting. I'm so sorry. I mean, like, I obviously Alicia and I think can attest to that, growing up, that we kind of dealt with that online as well, like having to live in this world of social media where you have to present a certain way to be societally beautiful. So there's a lot of like expectations and pressure on young women, and it's hard, and I know that. So kind of touching on how you guys are treated on campus, going back to that a little bit. In this crazy age of like toxic masculinity and people online like Andrew Tate, like going off on rants about like how women are this and that, and these like extremist misogynistic views, how has that like translated on campus? Are there people on campus that are like have that ideology and like support him and believe him and are like completely terrible to women? Because he is like ruining a generation of young men, and I want to see how, I know how that is online like with adults, so I want to see how that translates to kids right now in high school who are like dealing with all this.
I don't really surround myself with people who are like around that stuff. I try to stay as far as I can from those people. But I do have like a class where there's a lot of underclassmen, and they're like all boys. And you can see that they like drop like little jokes about him, and that they praise him. And it's just weird to see like, it's not even weird, it's just sad to see like how impressionable like these kids are, and how much like they look up to him, because it's so like it's not attached to reality. Like that's not how it works like in real life. And to have like you said, like these extremist ideologies at such a young age, it's scary to see like how these kids are going to grow up. Because if I think the seniors are bad, and then the freshmen and sophomores are like developing with that type of stuff, it's just scary. But you see a lot of that like in the football team or the soccer team. That's where it's like really concentrated.
What about you, Julian?
I think it's everywhere on our campus, unfortunately. It's especially in spaces full of men, sports, not to call out some sports, but sports,
Call them out.
particularly football, soccer, where they just host these strong, like masculine energies. Those are the spaces where they thrive on the words of Andrew Tate. I mean, again, like Carla said, it's sad to witness that and to like know the like it's like it makes even yourself feel like disgusting to know that like you're in the same space as that person. It's very disheartening to like witness. They praise it like it's something that is so true, but it's really not fact, and it's something that just dehumanizes women and feminine representing individuals. It's horrible.
I think that that's a really big part like of why it's so difficult for us to like even try to understand it, because we hear him talk about it and we're just like, everything this man is saying is like just lies. Like it's so like it literally doesn't even make sense, that I don't know how somebody could listen to it and be like, you know what, yeah, like they're right.
That's
So
crazy,
it's
right?
like, how do you believe this? How do you sit there and like, yeah, they're spitting facts? Like,
Right.
what? It doesn't make sense.
I think it's kind of like a blurred line, because when a lot of people look at Andrew Tate, they see success. So they're like,
Yeah,
oh, if he acts like that, I can be successful.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
people who really believe in Andrew Tate are people who are not validated at home, because
Yeah.
it's these people who are only validated through having the same ideologies as them, because their only validation comes from like the peers that think the same way like that. And so they're like, oh, like my friends think that way, so I want to think that way too, so I can seem cool, so I can seem like, oh, like we share the same opinions, you know? And it's really, it just stems from a home of like, who doesn't give the validation. That's really like, and
Yeah,
uh,
they're like a lot of them are really insecure.
Yeah.
insecure.
A lot of
Yeah,
them have never like actually been in a serious relationship either and
exactly.
have mommy issues. It's like really like when
All
you go
deep
down to the
rooted.
core of it, it's really sad, but
That's
like
the thing, like,
mostly it's just scary.
Because if you want to look at it even deeper, because you're thinking, oh, when I move on from high school, I'm done with this. But if you decide to go to college, we have frats, we have fraternities.
Oh
So it's
no,
like
don't
no matter where you go, this misogynism is very prevalent. So I'm just reflecting back to what you two are saying. I'm just like, wow, this it's so crazy that years after graduating, I'm not that old, but like years after graduating, this is still very prevalent. It's like
It stressed me out when you said frats because like they already have like a stereotype of how they are and how they act. And then just to like think on top of that, adding like all these values, it's just like terrifying.
right? It's like I so badly wanted you guys to say different answers, but you guys didn't. And I'm just like, no.
To kind of switch gears on the positive side, what are some
Mm.
good ways that men can be allies? Julian, like I need you to speak your truth here. How do we need like what do we need to do to engage and inspire male advocates? And what inspired you first and foremost?
number one is to call out your peers. Call them out, tell them that this way of thinking is not just, it dehumanizes people around you. Like just call them out and tell them that this is not a healthy way of thinking. It just builds into the future an abusing and a neglectful person. And it's a generational trauma that you just need to break those barriers for. Join spaces that are women led. Join spaces that where people share different views as you, because it's those spaces where you're able to like really develop into a person who is open-minded. I mean, that's definitely helped me. I mean, before the Young Women's Empowerment Club, I wasn't this like horrible person, but I just was never in a space like that. I just never, it was in leadership. I was never in spaces like that. But as soon as I joined, I was surrounded by an amazing smart people. Um, Carla, for example, just top of the students. That really helps you just like build yourself, and you strengthen your network, and then it just like not only does it help you, but it just helps create a safe environment.
Do you have anything to say about that, Carla?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with Julian. I know it's a different perspective, like as a man, but I feel like what's helped Julian a lot is being surrounded by women. It's just completely different, like to be in a room full of women and to be in a room full of men. And one of the big things, like he said, is to call out your friends because I don't think guys understand how much power, how much value that their word holds, like that their thoughts have. Like when a guy calls out his own friend, it holds so much more value than if I were to call him out because he's gonna believe him more. He holds more value to his word than he does to mine. So I think it's so important for guys to check their friends to say, hey, like that's not right, because they're more likely to listen to a guy than they are to a woman. And that's a sad truth, but we have to work together, and we really can't do it by ourselves because we need men to help us. And I think another one is to listen to women, like genuinely listen to us, not just think that we're complaining, because I think that's often what it's taken as. Like they just like, oh, they like shove it off because oh, you're just complaining, you're just a woman, you're crazy, you're speaking too much. But I think we have like these biases against women or men specifically. I mean, we all do, but men specifically have like biases towards women, that they're less than, that their opinions are not to the same value as that of a man's. And just to listen to women and to believe them, like when they come to you about something. And yeah.
I love how you just ended that beautiful speech with, yeah, that was so good. That was so good. Yeah, so you guys are just doing so much efforts at your school. So I am super curious to know what are you guys going to do post-graduation? Because you both are seniors. Congratulations on graduating in May. So what's next for you? What are you going to do to continue this passion for equality and women's rights? What's next?
So I received a full ride scholarship to Brown University through Questbridge. So I'm a Questbridge scholar. So I'm gonna be attending Brown University in the fall. and I'm very excited. And I'm really excited to go to the other side of the country and be in a completely new environment. And I'm planning to major in public policy. And well, I will continue my advocacy efforts over there. I didn't just work so hard here just to stop. But I mean, I definitely have a passion for this. Even if I wanted to stop, I don't think I could. So I'm really excited to see what initiatives they have there. I'm already looking through the Instagram like accounts of the clubs and stuff, and I'm really excited just looking at all the work that they've done and how I can help with that, especially with like women of color or low income women or first generation women, because I fit into all of those boxes. So I feel like in helping and trying to help to have opportunities for them, I will also be helping myself. And all of those skills that I learned there, I plan to come back to the valley and then work with local organizations here, because a lot of good work is being done here, and I want to see that.
For me, I will attend a four-year university. I haven't got all of my acceptances just yet, so I'm still like waiting on where I'll be going. But my plan is to go in as a legal studies major and eventually double major as an international relations major, because I want to prepare for my future career of being an international politician and humanitarian, working within the United Nations. Fingers crossed that will happen, so that I can advocate for equitable educational systems, quality early college and career opportunities, and long-term mental health resources for youth all around the world. Again, like what Carla mentioned, coming back to my community and really see the development and growth that will be happening for youth and for everyone, and do my part in making that develop even more. And yeah.
You guys are both doing amazing things. I'm so proud of you. Oh my God.
And like my
You feel proud
cheeks
of
hurt from
yourself.
smiling. Oh my God, my cheeks hurt.
We're kind of running out of time here, and I hate that. But just as a last question, I want to ask you both, what is your message for young women everywhere? What would you like them to know? Speak your truth.
Since most parts of the world are not built for you and they're just there to just really to value you, I guess my take would be to take advantage of the resources that you have available and try to create new opportunities to help build yourself and to help strengthen your voice and strengthen your abilities in advocacy and leadership. And throughout that journey of building yourself and gathering these resources, the ones that you have, and taking advantage of them, you're opening many paths throughout your journey. You're opening little paths, big paths, and you're going to see how many people could take advantage of those pathways. You're going to see how many people can take advantage of the resources that you're finding. And so what I want you to do is to be open-minded, go through this journey with an open mind so that you can let them join you, and just, again, we're stronger together. And after that, you will be your successful future, and you have built other people's successful futures, and it's really just, again, working together.
I would tell young girls to find a space, to find their people, and if there is no space that you can't see, make one, because I think that's so important, to be able to have somewhere where you can go and you can just tell them your problems. You can tell them when you're happy, you can tell them when you're sad. A group of people where you know that if you go to them, they're going to help you, and that you can like organize, do something, because I feel like that's really helped me to have that support, because we're not going to make it by ourselves. As much as people want to push the like individualistic ideals, no, you need other people, you need support. And also, don't judge yourself based off Eurocentric beauty standards, because you will get nowhere. Okay, beauty standards are always changing. We have to learn to accept ourselves, because the only reason why we think we're not beautiful is because of white supremacy and stuff like that. So don't feed into that, because we are beautiful as we are. And also, I wrote one more thing, but I forgot. Hold on, let me flip my. Okay.
This long list.
I put to take up space, to not be afraid to be loud, and people are gonna criticize you and they're gonna say that you're too loud. But don't silence yourself because our voices are really important and it's important for us to speak up so that younger generations can see that it's possible because we have a lot of impact even if we don't see it maybe automatically. Yeah.
And I want to add on that people are going to criticize you. People will tell you that you're too loud. People will try to silence you, but that's a part of the journey. That's a part of life. You need to strengthen yourself and just strengthen your confidence so that you can prepare and be okay with failures and trial and error. It's those experiences in life that become lessons and that really build your character and that makes you more open minded and broaden your perspectives.